You wanted to talk about baby mama and baby mama, baby daddy culture, but you don't have kids, right?
No, I do not.
Okay.
No.
Do you? What specifically did you want to talk about on
I
that?
just feel like, personally, in my opinion, it's really shoved down in the pop culture. Like, it's very normalized to have a child without being in marriage. So I would say, like, I am more traditional in the sense of, like, I think if you're going to raise a family, I would want you to be, or myself to be in a committed marriage. Like, why would I want to have children with just anybody and not be in a marriage? That I definitely am feel like I'm more traditional, I would say. And I guess also that comes to the idea of, like, I am very liberal. Like I said, I'm like free spirited, but there are certain aspects to myself that I do think in traditionalism is important.
Wait, just some points of clarification here. You just said you're a bit more, you're liberal?
I would say, like, there's a lot of liberal ideas that I have, but I definitely lean more towards the middle left.
Okay, middle left. But you said, and in your notes here, you also wrote you're very old school and traditional.
When it comes to that.
Comes to
Baby
what?
mama.
Dating?
Just having children outside of marriage. I don't understand.
Oh,
that.
okay. Just having kids out of marriage. Can when it comes to you, and this is what you wrote, you said you're very old school and traditional. Can you be, I guess, specific and give detail? How are you old school and traditional?
When it comes to marriage, I think if you want to be married, like, that's, to me, marriage is traditional. Like, you want to have children, you want to build a family. To me, that just seems reasonable. That seems like the best way to raise a family. To have children outside of a marriage, I think it's like so shoved down our pop culture ideas that, like, we should have, women should be able to do whatever they want. They can have kids outside of marriage. It's fine. I don't think that, to me personally, that's just not really in my vocabulary.
So that's your view when it comes to having children outside of marriage, your desire. I assume you want to get married?
Yes, but that's not my priority.
What's your priority?
My career.
Okay, gotcha. And remind me, you're 28?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
How could you expect the traditional element if you're not preparing yourself to be in that situation?
I don't think I'm ready to be a mother or a wife quite yet. I haven't found the right person, and the last thing I would want to do is get into an awful, unrealistic marriage that leads to divorce and to have children just because I felt pressured to have children.
But if you're not preparing yourself for that type of a lifestyle, do you think that you'll just suddenly turn traditional when you're ready to get married?
No, I think there's a lot of healing that I need to do within myself. I would want to raise a great family. I want to have kids, like, maybe in the future, but I don't, in a good mindset and a healthy lifestyle. And I am still traditional. I'm not just talking about myself. I think women and men should be in committed relationships to have children, not just talking about myself. I'm just talking about in general.
When you said, I haven't found the right person, doesn't that imply that the right person is already traditional?
I wouldn't say so. I'm sorry, can you clarify
So
that?
you're like, I don't want to get married yet. I don't think I found the right person. Just that part of it. Wouldn't the right person assume that he's already traditional and wants to have kids?
I hope so. I would also love if they didn't feel pressured to have a family. And maybe if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It shouldn't be like a pressure of, like, I want kids and you need to provide me kids. But if it happens, that's an amazing life.
The reason I ask that is because, like, I don't understand this. Like, women, they want to find the right guy, right? Like a high value man, they call it, fits all these criterias. When you find that man, why are you what do you do with that man, right? If your current view of dating is simply just to, like, have fun, it's like, I always ask these people, same thing, it goes back on the men too. They want to find the right woman, and I always ask, why? Then what do you do? Because the only answer to me that makes any sense is to marry and potentially have a family, to build something. So I'm wondering what all of this dating is, if ultimately both the men and the women are looking for the right man, right? But for what? Or the man is looking for the right woman, for what? Like, if it's not for marriage, I'm not sure. What is it, like a temporary, like, chapter in life, you know?
I think people come and go in your life. In my honest opinion, I'm very spiritual. I think not people don't just come to your life for no reason. There's always something that they provide for you. So even if they're not in a marriage or end up in a long-term relationship, I learned something from them. I'm not always out here like, he's the one. Is he going to be the one? No. I mean, if it is, that's great. I take a lot of accountability that I am a hot mess myself when it comes to dating, which is why I don't attract the best kind of individuals when I date. But
That's what I like to back to what Jay said, and this is pretty much for everyone, is that if in the future you see, especially as a women, because you guys have a time constraint, if you see in the future that you'll probably want to be married, you actually have to start that traditional practice of being that woman before you actually find the husband. That's why I asked, wouldn't the future husband already have the mindset of being traditional, like finding you and be like, cool, let's do this. But if you're not already living that, that's why Jay asked, what do you suddenly wake up when you find the right man and suddenly you're traditional? Like
no,
that's,
I can see what you're
you know what I
saying.
mean?
No, definitely having direction. I see what you're saying. I think, yes, the person that I would want to end up should be looking for marriage. I just don't like being pressured into things. So if I'm in a first date and he's like, I want to get married, that'd freak me out. I'd be like, I don't even know who you are. This is a first date. I would rather talk about this later on in life.
I think we're not saying you should rush into marriage, but rather that when you're married, it's a different lifestyle, and it doesn't change when you're married. Like you have to be prepared for marriage.
Yeah.
So you have to begin preparing before, not that you have to rush into marriage, is what I'm saying. So in other words, you need to give up the liberal centrism if you want a
Okay.
traditional guy. No traditional guy wants a liberal girl. Because let me give you an example. I had a friend who dated a liberal girl back when we were in our 20s, and he wanted to marry her. I said it's not a good idea. He got her pregnant. She aborted the baby and then took off. And I think because he saw that because she had this attitude of not being traditional, that she was not going to make a good wife. She ran off, did not what he wanted, right? So if you want to, like, what you put out is what you attract, is what I'm trying to say.
Can you be more specific in like the liberal definition
Well, I mean,
for
you
you?
describe yourself as a left of center, I think is what you said, something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, if I'm a guy and I'm out there and let's say for the sake of argument, I'm a high value male, maybe I'm not, but let's say that if I am. Like, if I was a traditional minded guy and I wanted a wife, like, I'm going to be looking for the qualities already there, not like, can I make her into a traditional woman when we get married? I'm going to look for the qualities already being there.
Isn't that a lot of pressure for someone though? Don't you think like everyone's in their own journey in creating the best version of themselves? Not everyone's going to be perfect and ready for anything in life.
What do you mean by traditional man? Like when you describe a traditional man, what are you looking for? Because you got to make sure that I think what they're saying is if you want to attract a certain type of fish, you got to use the right type of lure,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so
yeah.
when
No,
you
I
say, what's the fish you're trying to attract?
Somebody, for me, there's traditionalism, but also open-mindedness, like being able to, marriage is great. That's traditional, yes, but being able to also have different ideas of pathways in life and not being so, so single-minded and thinking like this is the only path in life. Like this.
Well,
is what I
hold
want.
on. That's like traditional pluralism, though. So, like, is there any tradition you can point to that has survived the test of time that didn't hold to a fairly narrow approach to what it is? Sounds like you're saying traditionalism kind of looks a certain way, like the structure looks a certain way, but ultimately, what's the tradition that's being carried through? Or is there any structure of the family, or does it just look like a family on TV? You know what I mean? Like a tradition itself, in every sense of the word, comes from a long lineage of people that hold it together and keep it, safeguard it, protect it, keep it rigorous. So it sounds like what Kyla's asking is like, well, what is that? It sounds like it's like an image of it, but it's not the practice of it.
I
Like,
see.
do you want him to be the breadwinner? Do you want him to make more income than you?
I think that's a great question. I think if they are the breadwinner, that's great. They don't have to be. Like I
Okay.
would love to make my own income as well. and
Should he
provide
pay
myself.
for dates? Should he be the one paying for dates?
Hopefully, yes. But
Would it be an ick? Be honest. Would it be an ick if he didn't?
I would say yes.
Okay, so you want a guy who's paying for the date. You're open to economically being on the same level. So if you were dating somebody for a while and he was making like $30K less a year than you for a while, would that be okay with you? Like, is that, say he's going to school Is that okay with you if you're the one making the money at the time and he's going to school?
I don't think currently where I'm at right now that it's not a priority, but I think it would definitely be something that would make me want not to be with them.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So like you're kind of wanting some traditional gender roles, like he's being at least the breadwinner mostly throughout the relationship, or
Yeah.
at least on parity. You want him to pay for that and stuff like that. Okay. Gotcha. I just wanted to understand what you
What
were
if
traditional.
he fits all of the checks for traditionalism that you are looking for,
Okay.
and the only thing he's looking for is you, in addition to your compatibility, but the most important thing on his list is that you mother his children. That's the only thing in return he's expecting. Is the expectation that Kyla just asked of you, like you have an expectation, right?
Okay.
But if his expectation is that an equal exchange?
I honestly, I don't think so. Having a kid is so like life altering to your body, physical, mental, to a woman. That just seems to me, in like the most simplest terms, I'm giving away my life, to be honest. So a lot of the times it has to be the right person, and it has to be like when I feel like it's right. And right now I don't.
Well, yeah, the question wasn't like when it. Of course, there's a when. Sometimes you don't know when.
Okay.
Sometimes
Whatever.
you think it's not the right time, and it actually is.
Okay.
But I'm pointing to more like if you have a set of standards
Yeah.
for the man.
Okay.
And let's say it is from every perspective, looking at it, he matches all of the of the
Okay.
criteria.
Yeah.
His criteria for you is to mother the child. I'm wondering, how do you know when you're at an equal exchange? Because now you just said, well, I want the man to be traditional. I want him to pay for things. I want him to lead the way. I want him to lead the family, protect me, whatever else you add in there. But it sounds like one of the most important things for that traditional man is going to be the thing that you're actually like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's not a equal exchange, because what is it thereafter ultimately, aside from that?
You don't think it's fair to say to have a child is like not I wouldn't compare it to me saying like provide for a date to be able to pay a bill. Like I don't think that's the same as having a
Oh no, I agree. I'm not talking about the single instance. We're looking at sort of obligation from his perspective. That's the
Okay.
kind of man he is. So that'll follow through with protecting you, providing the home, making the home, like protecting the home, everything. And fulfill. It sounds like your liberalism still kicking in, and you're
Yeah.
like, well, I want to fly to Tahiti, right? And you're going to live your life, and that's why Jay was asking, well, what is it you're grabbing from the traditional bin, from the man, and what are you providing from the traditional bin from his perspective? If it's not children, what is it? I mean, what else could it be? Like,
Are you
know.
wanting to homemake a lot for him? Like when you say providing children, do you just mean you don't want to give up your career for children?
Yeah, I feel like having kids, like it's selfish to not center your life around them. Like that's a huge life decision. And right now I have so much on my plate, career, financial, just everything, that I don't think it would be fair to have a kid right now, or probably in a while.